Today's chat is brought to you by the support of all our Twitch subscribers. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through the Twitch platform, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a subscriber of the FFC and gaining access to some exclusive features over in the Discord server, please be sure to visit our Twitch account and click on the subscribe button. If you're an Amazon Prime member, remember that you do have a free subscription to Twitch every month that can be used for this. And for those of you who are already subscribers, thank you again for your generosity.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat. Explore together.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on July 3rd, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat as we continue our discussion over League of Legends. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the advanced session of the week's exploration. Congratulations to those who have signed up for a deeper dive. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is the totally not getting ready to tweet a picture out on Blue on Twitter,
so
green-eyed music lover.
Rude.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, whatever. And last but definitely not least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend DancingViru. Viru, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm still reminiscing, the innocence I had until I watched certain animes. It just all came back to me.
I don't understand. I don't get it. It's not like Master Roshi was, oh, wait.
Well, no, it's, mainly Hunter x Hunter. When you think it's about, a sweet little boy, who wants to, go on an adventure, become a hunter, hunt, as the opening sequence suggested, wants to hunt down, treasures and looking for his father, until he encounters another hunter who's much, definitely looks older than him, but seems to be, power sexual and really into him. And, yeah, it is,
it was a very interesting show. Let's just leave it at that.
It was a rite of passage, for sure.
Everyone has to have their crucible.
Yeah.
But to kind of jump back into the League of Legends aspect. So we talked about the game mechanics in a lot of depth with the first part. So how do we see that transition into the narrative, or the as we call it, the lore of the League of Legends game world? How does that cross over? How would you say that?
Yep. So League of Legends, if you compare to other games, it's not your traditional game that has campaigns. It is more it uses more of the typical to some other PvP games, like these, what we call in Destiny, lore tabs. So we talked about in the intro section where the player summons a champion. There's a pool of champions they can choose from, and in the end it's a 5 versus 5, 5 champions versus 5 other champions. And if you want to know more about them, when you play the game, you have a client, and that client is called, actually I don't know why it's called pvp.net. That's the client. I can't remember if there's any specifics to that, but yeah, that's the client that you that you need to have open. It's where your friends list is, and where you can go buy some cosmetic skins and stuff through microtransactions, and that's where you also see your collections of champions you possess. And disregarding if you actually own the champions or not, you can still look up their lore tab. Now, there used to be, as hinted at the intro, there was a reboot, and as far as I can tell, there was multiple ones, minor and major ones, and every time I came back to League of Legends, I also saw how they lore tabs like shifted and changed in like depth as well as how much there was to read. Now they're all like very short because they're all like reference to a sub page of League of Legends, which Riot finally has like curated like its universe and the world building, the sub page, and that's where we mainly going to talk about in reference to the lore, like for the listeners. The website is universe.leagueoflegends.com, and we're gonna mainly reference that. But as for the game itself, where you can like see the storytelling aspect of things, there are sometimes like events you have in the game, like based on missions, and it's usually tied with the official releases of new champions. Because then you obviously have a new lore tab to like deal with, and very often when a champion's released, there's like usually like immediate connections to other champions, and based on these lore tabs, can sometimes be like a continuity of what you've read from another champion, and so you have like an idea, like with the release of this champion, like as a playable champion, something happened in the universe, and to like commemorate that, there's usually like events like around that release, with like specific missions, where you have missions like play a game of League of Legends with champions from, and then insert a specific location from Runeterra. And then it's also listed like with which champions, and then you get like bonuses like in-game currencies you can use to buy champions and or buy skins. And then we have, based on what champions your teammate gonna choose, sometimes there are some voice line interactions in game.
Okay.
There is an occasion where, for example, 2 champions got released at the same time, and the reason why is these 2 were a couple, like inseparable couple, and there are some minor like gameplay mechanics, like bonus mechanics when those 2 are played together. Conveniently, one of them is a bot lane like marksman, and the other one is a support. So those 2 could be played together, and if those 2 are played together, there are like some additional bonuses to the mechanics when they're like close to each other, like increased range and things like that, as well as like these randomized voice lines, like that they flirt with each other and things like that. And which they started to incorporate like more and more with the newer champs when there is some sort of a relationship with another existing champion. There are also some like in-game text feed cues when you have a champion that is known in the lore to be looking out for another champion to hunt down. Like 2 of those champions, like there's a champion called Rengar who wants to hunt down a champion called Kha'Zix, and when in your team there's a Rengar and in the enemy team is a Kha'Zix, and when they see each other, the in-game text feed says the hunt is on, for example.
Nice.
To pay like an homage to what happened in the lore and things like that. Then outside of that, like on the sub page, we have comics, short stories, and more importantly, that is like maybe more dominant, like especially for people who are not conversant with League of Legends, but can see it from the outside. Cinematic trailers. Now, I mentioned in the intro section, there's like some interesting connection to Destiny. So, if I'm not mistaken, there might be like multiple studios involved, but from what I can tell, one major studio that does the cinematic cutscenes is Axis Animations or Axis Studios. They also did They did a few cutscenes in Destiny 2, and it's the ones where, depending on the content, the camera zooms into the logo of the content and then shows the enemy side. The Gaul scenes, with the Red War campaign, where it like pans into the Red Legion logo, and the same in Forsaken, where it pans into all the Aldrin scenes. These were done by Axis Studios as well as some others. And yeah, it's usually these cinematic trailers, they like kind of show like some moments that people who are who know the lore like know what this is referencing, but it's usually in a way that it introduces new champions. I think Riot usually pairs it with like all these major releases. Usually happens during a cup, during a tournament, it is like someone said in the chat, and you mentioned it earlier as well. Like it's an aspect that Overwatch does as well, with this cinematic, like these cutscenes, and
I love those things.
Yeah, these are quite awesome, very interesting. If we want to look now at other storytelling mediums, last year there was the 10-year anniversary from Riot Games, where they opened up their portfolio to announce a couple of other things. One of those things was, which is now officially released, the shooter Valorant, but it has nothing to do with League of Legends, even though the name might suggest that. But there are some other spin-offs that are that have now official releases. One of them is a card game called Legends of Runeterra. For those who want to get into the world building and universe of League of Legends, or like in general, the visual themes, and like just to engage with the world of League of Legends, and are familiar with Magic the Gathering, I highly recommend playing Legends of Runeterra. It is now out of beta. It is free to play. In terms of mechanics, it is like Magic the Gathering, but with the pacing mechanics of Hearthstone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Something interesting about all these cards have lore artworks that you can right-click on. They're all beautiful, and they all have like a flavored text and contribute to the world building. And Riot Games announced a project with the in-house publishing team called Riot Forge. They announced a couple of spin-off series. One of them is it is from another studio. I forgot which one is called. They don't have a name for it yet, I believe, but it is going to be a story game based on the concept art they've shown. It looks like it's going to be like a Metroidvania kind of game, or at least like a side-scrolling platformer game with one of the champions as the main protagonist. And yeah, it's like a story-driven game where we get to see the story of that one champion. They have like other games, like unspecified projects they've announced with Riot Forge and like external studios to get some other story games done. I teased we will get back to that at the end, but I teased at the idea that League of Legends has a multiverse now. Why that's a thing now is because not only champions have lore tabs in the client, their skins have now as well. So if you buy like skins that like especially like something completely different, then there's like something entirely different lore that has nothing to do with Runeterra. And for now, there seem to be like just like puzzle pieces because we don't have the same depth for Runeterra that like these other universes have, but they're like hinted at. They already have like some like sub tabs on that subpage, like just for Star Guardians, Odyssey, and KDA. I haven't looked into the KDA yet. I still need to wrap my head around that. We're like,
well, because that was an alternate skin to the already existing champions, right?
Yeah. Like these skins are all like, these are all like, like ornaments to weapons in Destiny.
Right.
Some like a unique experience in League of Legends that I haven't really seen like that intensely in other games is you have like these different like tiers of skins. Obviously, these tiers are like represented by like the amount of money they cost. The more expensive they are, the more they actually do stuff that like changes like in game. For example, let's see like a champion that does like dark magic, uses dark magic, like it's a dark purple colors used to visualize that in game, like with the visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
Put like choose like a different skin where she's suddenly like there are these like oceanic skins, like the deep something, like referencing water, like the ocean. And then that champion is no longer shooting with dark magic, but actually with water. But it is the same effect. It's the same visual effects, just the color and style has been changed. So it really looks like it's the champion is no longer like having like dark magic abilities, but instead like water abilities, which is really cool. And like for the first time, I think it started like 2 years ago, like skins are actually having lore now hinting at the multiverse, like at alternate realities and things like that. So obviously there are comics and short stories. The short stories, these are like very specific chapters of each of these champions' lives, like something specific that happened. But as you mentioned with the reboot, there seem to have been like a lot of changes, and the major difference between the first time I looked into the lore and the last time I looked, like when I knew that the universe subpage was a thing, and when I started to look into like properly, like at the beginning of this month and like for this episode, realized like there have been a lot of changes for one, and secondly, it is quite a lot, like very complex. That's why what I'm gonna do, like when we go through Runeterra, I'm gonna like heavily summarize, and also simultaneously for you to also to give the opportunity to simultaneously like look at these sub pages like on a second monitor or something as I reference to things to see the uniqueness of League of Legends is they are using obviously like tropes that you've seen in other
because I know like some of the geography areas, like especially some of the I think the newer ones, because I think there's the Icathia, I think is the one that stood out to me. Icathia. It's a city that's like entirely inspired by Lovecraftian themes, and it's like I was like, what? That is so cool. Whereas then you have like, is it Noxus? Noxus is the Roman Empire one.
Noxus,
So
exactly.
The geography seems like it's really kind of all over the place, but also somewhat like they're talking about an entire planet, so that's not a huge surprise.
Yeah, exactly. So when you look at the map of Runeterra, obviously it's not that visible because it's flat. Cue the beginning of the intro section about flat Earth. It is a planet. So even if it looks like very small, like when you look at the continents, you have to imagine it is. It's like spherical, and it's probably based on what some of these champion buyers like have written. It's potentially larger than Earth, even with just these continents. And the good thing about this subpage is it has this scattershotedness that you might be familiar with the Grimoire cards of Destiny 1. Where it doesn't matter where you start, because as you read through, you will encounter something that is intersected with another thing, and not just within these specific locations of Runeterra. It's like all over the place. And something I've realized while reading, there's some stuff that I've read like years ago, like couple years ago, like first time when I played the game, that is no longer there in the same phrasing, because what Riot Games also started doing with the subpage, which I really appreciate, is like proper copy editing as the universe moves forward. Like certain events, they're no longer selling it as something that just like immediately happened. They do reiterate on these law tabs as the story progresses. And something really interesting about League of Legends, especially with the visual themes, when I mentioned earlier with like similar tropes from other things, you would think like someone who's hearing about League of Legends the first time and looked at all these visuals, that this multiverse concept is all within the same planet, but no, that's not even the multiverse aspect of things. These are actually like all these different cultures. They also have like different level of technology. Like as you mentioned, like Noxus is inspired by this by the notion of Roman Empire, like Roman structures, but like in terms of technology is a bit different. You have your typical medieval kingdom. You have your, I like to call it the dreaming city of League of Legends in the east, and you have your typical like the pirate theme as well. The archaeological aspect of it as well, and all like cobbled together in like on one planet. Before we go, we're gonna look at the world building and the champions and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I want to share something. Like I want to talk to you guys about an event that happened. That unfortunately, like for some reason, they're not doing things like that anymore. But
was it like a live event like the Destiny community witnessed with the Warsat, or?
Yeah, it goes into that direction. If you want to talk about how changes to skyboxes work in tandem with the moving narrative, then yes. That's what I mean. And since I've experienced that event, I'm under the strong impression that not everything have to be just like resulted in that's just gameplay mechanics. And I genuinely think like really anything could be explained with given time and resources. So for this example I'm going to talk about, it might be helpful to have like on the subpage under the regions to have the one for Bilgewater open.
Okay.
Because that's the best way to have all the major champions visible at the same time instead of like clicking back and forth. So at some point in League of Legends, I think it was actually during the year where my friends and I actually played the first time and then experienced this event, and it was about Bilgewater, which is like it's a port city where anyone can go there and live there, and there's like no law. It doesn't matter if you've branded a criminal from whichever region you came from, like in Runeterra, and in Bilgewater it doesn't matter, and that's why it's also like the main location for pirates. And usually when you look at League of Legends in terms of gameplay, there are some modes that don't make sense in terms of story. It's just like a gimmicky features. There's like a mode called Ultra Rapid Fire, or short URF, which is basically the same like League of Legends like game mode, the Summoner's Rift, but with heavily reduced cooldown reduction, like heavy cooldown reduction and amplified mana regeneration. It's the what's it called, Blue, and you like to reference that in Halo. Is it Mayhem?
Oh, yeah, Super Fiesta.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Super Fiesta of League of Legends. And if you look at modes like that, there is like no there's like no story aspect to that, like why that happens. But there was like excuse me. Okay, there we go. There was an event, and before that event happened, Riot Games told the community like this is something they always do, and one of the champions they see for Bilgewater, Gangplank, and he's a notorious pirate. He used to look differently. He also used to have different abilities, and he was kind of like meh in terms of gameplay, and didn't really fit well like with his gameplay. It lacked a little bit of identity. It seemed like generic, and also the amount of time he was picked to play was also a bit strange. So at some point they announced that Gangplank's going to get a rework. And then for a time, they never talked about it again. and then...
We said the thing, and then just slid it under the rug,
Then this event happened, and the way this event happened is... It was a Bilgewater-themed event, and I believe usually when these events happen... There are usually, obviously, like the sales on certain skins that are themed around what happened in a narrative. So anything Bilgewater related skins have like they have a discount on and things like that, as well as the the missions I mentioned. What was happening this time though was, so I can't remember if it was each day or like each second or third day. It might as well have been like each week rather. I feel like it was shorter, but every other day at least a chapter was released, and it was like around the champions Gangplank, Graves, Misfortune, and Twisted Fates. Oh yeah, one thing you should like, some of these champions' names they're quite puns. They like doing that, like Misfortune. So it was revolved around these 4 characters, and each every couple of days, like a chapter got released, and something was going on in the lore. And to briefly explain what happened there, the character Misfortune, she's a marksman. She has her dual hand cannons, and with her lore, she. And basically remembering from back then. There might have been like some new stuff right now, but back then she was. It was said that her parents died by someone, and it was like barely explained by whom. And the law between like Graves and Twisted Fate, they had a shared history. They used to be like partners in crime, and then according to Graves, Twisted Fate abandoned him, and since then they've been like Graves been like trying to hunt him down, while Twisted Fate he's just like a bit laid back. It seems like he just didn't want to, he's like more like someone who embraces freedom, and if I remember correctly, he maybe like underestimated the friendship Graves felt towards him, and that's why he's maybe shocked by his reaction. Either way, something happened where Graves thinks he betrayed him, but it was during the chapter that was revealed that was not the case, and Graves was just like too stubborn to to see that. And during the event, with the chapters, Gangplank, Graves, Misfortune, and Twisted Fate, each of the chapters, it was you could tell that all of them are in Bilgewater, all in like different like houses and taverns, and doing their own thing. For Twisted Fate, he used to just shortly explain his splash art here. In game, he throws like magically charged cards. He's a mage. His projectiles are cards, and that's also the play of his name, Twisted Fate. Like the play on tarot cards, probably. And during the chapter for Twisted Fate, like some little boy approached him and said there's like he was apparently looking for a specific treasure that was on the ship of Gangplank. And he said like during these times, Gangplank usually in a bar, like drinking with his crew, and then it's said that Twisted Fate went there. And that boy also came to Graves during Graves' chapter and said the one he's been hunting for, Twisted Fate, he's going to be on that pirate ship on that in that time. And so he was ready, and finally he found his old friend he wanted to hunt down, and so he went there. The two of them also seemed to be like a target for Gangplank. So the boy also went to Gangplank and like told them, hey, these two people, they're on your ship right now. And he was very angry. And what is interesting about this, up until then in the lore, it was Gangplank is very evil, like very like a true bad guy, like really doesn't care about the laws. And during that chapter, he actually rewarded the boy beforehand, like told his crew, give him a warm meal, and when he turns out to be right, also give him gold. Otherwise, just let him go. And so he went to his ship, and then the next chapter, like Graves approached Twisted Fate on the ship after Twisted Fate realized there was no the artifact the boy was talking about was not there. And then he saw Graves and then and then the both of them fought on the ship. And then Gangplank came, and he saw both of them and attacked both of them with his crew. And that was also an interesting moment between Graves and Twisted Fate, where they finally they were able to talk about their past and talk it out what actually happened. And Graves was able to chill down a bit and realize that he was just a like very stubborn about this whole thing and very had a tunnel vision about this whole thing, and especially after seeing how quickly Twisted Fate reacted when people started shooting at Graves, and he tried to save him. And so the two of them, they eventually were able to escape, but not without an explosion that happened on the ship, which was set up by Misfortune. And in her chapter, it was revealed she sent the boy to set all these characters up on the ship to have like a major like a fight out, because she knew about the relationship between all of these. And during that chapter, it was also revealed Gangplank was the father. Gangplank was the one who killed her parents, and the chapter ended with Gangplank seemingly dying. For the next couple of days, Gangplank was not playable in-game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like that. It actually puts weight to what happened.
Yeah. And then after a couple of days, the last chapter came, and that was from Gangplank. He managed to reach out to a underworld doctor who is skilled at implants and things like that, because he lost his arm from the explosion. And yeah, he gave him like a new like a mechanical arm and things like that. And that's how Gangplank returned to the game with his announced rework. And that was then the end of the event. And they had some other events after this, but nothing like in a scale where it actually affected the gameplay this deeply. We had some other reworks with champions, but they never resulted like in events like this, where it was like step by step like explained. And like nowadays these reworks nowadays happen like in tandem with rewriting a lot of these champions' lore and matching the new narrative that they at least seem to be consistent like since they started this whole subpage thing. But yeah, I found this like really incredible, like to tie the story into a rework like of a character that was needed for the gameplay, for the meta. And yeah, this is like another way they explained the story. And yeah.
So I like to start and wrap that up. I like the idea that you presented there with like the combination of the game mechanics and the narrative actually syncing up like that. That's really, really cool. It's like a really interesting way to take a character that, you know, maybe and this might be the other thing is like you could take a character that's not really the fan favorite, or, you know, there's something that needs to be done with them, and use the narrative to explain, okay, we're going to take him offline or her offline for, you know, a week or so while we rework them, but then have that disappearance explained in the narrative. I think that's really cool. Like I think that's it really shows smart, yeah. Right. Well, it also shows the dedication that the team has to actually making sure that everything kind of like that immersion is not broken. I think that's really kind of a cool idea. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it also like it worked really well because they decided to never talk about the rework again.
Oh yeah, that's really funny too because
it was kind of obvious they planted this like they wanted us to like subvert our expectations, and obviously we knew the rework's going to happen. But when the chapter came online, oh wow, like how awesome is that? It was really cool. Nowadays every time champion gets released, they have the opportunity to update lore tabs, as well as now officially release short stories on the subpage and comics. And as they go on, the bio of these characters they get updated. And it is, as you guys said, there's like no main character. All these champions are characters, and they all move like the story as the story moves them, so to speak.
My question for you would be kind of a final teaser to get people to go kind of look up things on their own. Is, do you have a favorite character story out of all of them? Because you said like there's over 140 of them. There's a lot of stories to choose from. Is there one story in particular that's your favorite?
Like this is really, there are like a lot of things. Something that I realized is my favorite champion I play with in game aren't necessarily my favorite characters.
Okay.
And when we want to talk about favorite character, not necessarily like favorite, but just like the one that I am impressed by the most right now.
Okay.
If we go like under the regions to the Bandle City, Bandle City is a really like a fabled mythical place in Runeterra. You also don't see it like, and then when you look at the map, you don't like see it immediately until you zoom into Valoran, the northern continent, and then you see like some like yellow sparkly glitter as you zoom into. Bandle City is it's in the spirit world. It has its own reality, the city, and it is like the people who live there are the Yordles, which you see under the Bandle City, under the champions. They're all very tiny.
I love them.
They're all cute. And
that's all you had to say. Like, it's...
And the ones who look really serious, they would really appreciate it if you also take them seriously. These Yordles, what they all have in common is they're all about creativity and about mischief, but it's all in a playful way. They've been in Runeterra since pretty much since the beginning, and they have like secret pathways from Bandle City that is like goes throughout the fabrication of the material world of Runeterra, and they can look at everything without being seen with their magic. They have like very special magic. It's like your typical, Fey magic, like
they're very puckish.
Like very fairy-like that you might see from other fantasy. Some of these Yordles, because of their creativity, they go to a city. Like lots of them went to the city of Piltover. Mm-hmm. Which has a technological boom, and like it gets to the point where you don't even see like these aren't all Yordles. These are just the ones that are like emotionally affiliated with Bandle City, but some Yordles are now affiliated with other cities in Runeterra, and to like convert their creativity into the imagination with the tinkering technology. And like Corky, he's part of a squadron, and
Gnar is the one that I like. He's so adorable.
Oh yeah, Gnar is
he's cute, but he looks like a gremlin.
Yeah, he's also really scary when he gets upset.
Yes. So
he's wearing a bone hat.
Look at Gnar
his head. Is in the northern side, like in the far cold north in Freljord. And he has like 2 goals in his life. Okay.
To kill, I'm assuming, is one of them.
No, number one is collect cool looking things.
Okay, he's a thief. Got it.
And number 2 is to throw them.
Wait, what?
He likes throwing things.
he has a jawbone from a creature he picked up as a boomerang, and that's his gameplay mechanic in game. That's his basic attack, throwing that boomerang, and he's always excited when it comes back. And
it's like a corgi that has a thing that he can throw and it comes back.
Yeah, and he was caught up in a cataclysmic event in Freljord. Because he didn't have any other yordles, he looked at the Yetis and thought, yeah, these are just large yordles. I'm gonna befriend them. So he wanted to befriend. He's like very shy. He wants to like look at them from a distance, But the thing is, in the north, it's like all like barbaric tribes that are fighting each other because it's like very harsh life in the north. And these Yetis, they all got doing all this feud, especially with the trolls that also live there. They got killed, and he considered them, friends, kind of. And during one of these events, like a rift opened into the void, which is something that I'm going to briefly explain, to end this whole thing with how Runeterra came to be. Like a rift to the void opened. By the way, I give you one. I mean, you probably already saw it. One guess which color is dominant to the void.
I mean, is it the same as Destiny and Violet?
Yeah. And like a creature of the void emerged and killed, the most of the Yetis and large yordles. And he got so angry, and he compared this feeling, like he tried to imagine what it would feel like if his boomerang never came back. And he got so angry, and it's still like a bit like unclear. Maybe it's yordle magic, but he was so angry. He jumped at that void creature. It was another champion, like a playable champion, Vel'Koz. It's just an eye with tentacles.
Oh, it's like a beholder.
Yeah.
Yeah. He laughed at it, and he thought he had a snowball in his hand, throwing it at Vel'Koz. What it really was a large boulder, because he didn't realize he turned into a monster, like enlarged himself.
Mm-hmm.
But before anything could happen, another champion who prepared for the arrival of this void creature just froze everything to seal off this void creature. And since then, it's like in the Howling Abyss, which is also the map of another mode, where it's also 5v5, but in like just one lane, below in the abyss, frozen in ice, and you can still you can walk on the ice and see the eye under it, the large eye.
Oh, that's creepy.
And he got frozen as well. And like everything was like in stasis, so to speak, for centuries, until I started melting. And this probably also has partly to do with Gnar's yordle magic. His eyes began to thaw, and then he woke up, and then thank God my boomerang is here. And he's like,
first things first.
Yeah.
First things first. Where's my boomerang?
He looked around like, what happened? And then he was like, everything's changed. And that was so exciting for Gnar to so much new things to explore now. And yeah, that's basically the story. But my favorite champion rider based on law is Poppy. She's affiliated with Demacia. Poppy is a very interesting yordle compared to all her other, compared to the other yordles who embrace freedom and creativity. She's looking for more, stability, and I'll have you know Poppy, even with a hammer twice her size, is a very independent yordle. She's very determined. She's also very, very cute. She's the kind of character who would save your life from an unsolvable disaster and then tells you that she's looking for a hero and asks you if you've seen them. When she observed the humans, she was intrigued by one specific settlement that was about to be built, and that was Demacia. This was happening after the Rune Wars, which is an event where everyone was like keen to use magical artifact to empower themselves, and it basically devastated Runeterra, and a lot of refugees came to a place where they found this that looked like fossilized trees that were seemingly like jamming magic, and you have to imagine these refugees, they were like terrified of magic, and so they started building a settlement made of these of the properties of this tree, and built this medieval-looking kingdom now, which is all in white, like mixed with that magic jamming material and marble, and it's a very like beautiful and noble country of refugees, and with a very advanced militaristic behavior, like militaristic culture with armies and soldiers. And she like before Demacia was born, she watched like different caravans like passing by, and then she saw one with like soldiers like marching all in like in a synchronized manner, which she was like she was amazed by, and because the way the soldiers, build up tents, like all like very quickly and efficiently, and went hunting for food, and she only knew that all from like using magic in Bandle City, and so she was very curious. She wanted like that's it. It felt like there was this stability in her life she wanted to seek out. So she approached the tent, and with the commander there called Orlon. Orlon was the commander. It just like out of nowhere just approached these humans, and she had so many questions. And Orlon also, after looking at Poppy, had so many questions. And eventually these two they became inseparable. And unfortunately, yordles, they have a very long life. So she had to see Orlon die, and in his on a dying bed, he gave her the hammer. It is said that this hammer has apparently like magical properties, and it was destined to be for the supposed hero of Demacia, and only the hero of Demacia can wield its magical power. And that's now her mission. Poppy is looking for the hero of Demacia. She has an ego problem, meaning she has no ego. So she never considered that she might be that hero. And
her story is super cute. From what I've just kind of gathered from it, it's just that super tiny kid who is searching for the hero, but kind of discovers their own hero in a lot of ways, possibly.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
There's like a similar yordle like Tristana, who in a very shocking event like experienced one of these portals to Bandle City, got devastated, and so she tried to mimic how humans defend their houses and like fortresses, and she got to see that from Piltover, and she was very serious about it, but the way it's written is really cute. Then she started doing the same. She started to march around the borders of Bandle City, all by herself, and all the other, what is she doing there? And she's like very determined, like looking at like in the distance if there's like any enemies, and with her cannon. Her cannon is called Boomer. which is a very interesting name because they like to they have a very simplistic way of naming things that are not familiar to them. And as large yodels, and she understood she need more people to safeguard Bandle City, so she has a typical military recruits now, and she's training them, and they're really cute. Yeah,
nice.
You guys have something you've seen about Runeterra, or something about a champion that...
Do you have a favorite champion, Green?
I don't, honestly, because I've never played the game. I've played Smite, which is as close to, I understand the concept of what you talked about, especially in the intro session, just as far as lanes and what heroes go where and what their kind of purpose is. That all makes sense to me. The option to have 140 characters to choose from, it hurts me. Overwatch is a lot of characters right now. That is more than I'm willing to even put any time into. But 140? It's I don't even know where to begin. Is there an easy way to pick up the game and find characters that aren't going to take so much time to understand? Is there a rating system to say that this is a simple character to understand? It has very basic controls, not a high skill level or anything like that.
So any new player who starts the game, there's something about League of Legends, no matter which champions you own, each week there's a new set rotation of 10 champions that are free to play, free to pick. You don't have to own them.
Okay.
But for brand new players, as far as I know, I think they still do this. They have their own set of 10 champions until you reach a specific account level. And these 10 are basically the common basic champions as far as mechanics go. So something I forgot to mention, they announced League of Legends for mobile and consoles.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice. Blue, do you have any heroes that stand out to you?
No, Alkali is the one that I got. She's actually the one, because I saw the KDA thing and it was all over YouTube for a while, and then I was looking into it and I was oh, this is really interesting. I didn't know what it was, and I was oh, it's League of Legends, and that's kind of I'm familiar with Overwatch does their cinematic shorts for every hero, and I was okay, so I started kind of digging into the different cinematics of all the heroes, and it's just blew me away. Again, just the production value of their cinematics. They also have webcomics now, which are just crazy. There's I think it's the northern, one of the northern, because I think there's a civil war going on in the northern area, and so is it Ash? Is that the archer from?
Yeah, that's okay. From the tutorial as well, what I mentioned.
Okay,
Ash.
Yeah. So she has a webcomic, and it's really the story is just the story is actually really strong. It just really is.
Yeah.
And so and then I was messaging Green because Alkali is it Akali?
Akali.
Akali. Okay. Her origin story is really, really interesting, and I think she's interwoven with another champion that they grew up in the same clan or something. But then it's just in every season has a different kind of primary thing going on. The one I think for 2019 was the big the mage girl, which the fight scene with that was just, it blew my mind. It was really cool watching them take these characters and design them in in a movie. It's just I'd be honest, Riot Games could probably put an anime together, and I'd watch it like no
they actually
questions
announced
asked.
one, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did.
Yeah, an animated series. Yeah,
yeah, I did. I do remember.
Can't remember. I think they hired some that's actually known. I can't remember who it is. I feel like it's a known studio.
But yeah, I mean, it's so like those are the ones that like immediately come to mind. Ash just has like she had a really interesting and engaging story. And that was kind of the KDA thing was like silly, but it was the rabbit hole that got me started down that. And then like just reading all the different sides and the different music videos that they have for each of the big seasons. They also tell a story, and it's really just really cool seeing all these different stories kind of come together.
Yeah. Ash is also like especially interesting with her in Freljord, because in Freljord you have with all these tribes, but there are like 3 main factions. And from 2 of these 3 factions, the leader, like Ash and Sejuani from the other tribe, they are like descendants of the original 3 sisters who tried to gain like magical powers and then went to the north. And the 3rd one is actually still the same original sister. And that's why I mentioned earlier, like especially the timeline and lore regarding Freljord is a bit conflicting, and like the community believes that's an artificially placed plot hole because we have a character there like the Ganondorf of League of Legends, who's like in this trifecta. The other 2 are always like reincarnations, like brand new lives, like descendants of their original season, while the 3rd one is still the same, and she keeps trying to like kill the reincarnations. She did not have that luck like with Ash and Sejuani, and she controls the citadel that has all these historical texts and scrolls stored in, and she basically directs the history of Freljord, and that's why I really think that the plot hole is like like very precisely placed. They're like when you look at the creation of Runeterra and like how it progressed, there's like a pending doom that everyone is waiting for from the Watchers. Who are like trying to open like portal into the world. That's the void rifts, like all these void creatures are from the Watchers, but the Watchers are too big. That's why they need a bigger portal, and they like try every time they did, like something like cataclysmic happened, shaping Runeterra and its cultures, and that seems to be the end game story. I'm really excited to see like what's gonna happen past that. But the southern continent of Shurima, there was an empire that got destroyed because of their involvement, and like the freezing of Freljord with Gnar included, who got like caught in all this. It was because of a void rift, and they're like all this pending doom. Like everyone is preparing the place Ionia, which visually is kind of like the Dreaming City, but narratively it's the Avatar of League of Legends. They're all about harmony, especially one character, like one champion, Karma, and they all have like different interpretations of harmony. And even within them, there are like now feuds and rifts and like infighting over the interpretation of harmony, and like trying to convince others to like draw their like martial arts into like militaristic society and things like that. And they're like everything's on edge, and that's like very like it's like interesting how these like little events like shape the rest. And
that's really cool. Well, I appreciate all the hard work that you did, but real quick for you, could you give us a reminder where we can find you on Twitter or whatever other sites you frequent?
Yes, so on Twitter at DancingViru, same on Twitch, and I don't have anything up yet on YouTube. Well, not for quite some time, but I am editing some highlights that I like from some games, some Apex Legends I played with a friend of mine, and as well as Magic the Gathering and Teamfight Tactics, which I forgot to mention. It is I don't know if it's called a mode. It is within League of Legends. It's an auto brawler game. Have you seen Dota Auto Chess or like any similar auto chess games?
It sounds familiar.
Teamfight Tactics is actually the where you can experience best like the multiverse aspect, because each set is based on skins and outside of that it's just like automatic gameplay. But yeah, that's something that I tend to stream on Twitch, and you might see some highlights there on YouTube as well. But yeah, basically DancingViru basically everywhere.
Perfect. And then do you have any shoutouts for the advanced session?
There's my friend that I just mentioned, Kazi Games, KAZZIE Games, together on Twitch and Twitter. It's been quite. It's very endearing to have someone to play with, and she also got into Destiny 2. She doesn't play as regularly as me, but she also has a Twitch and YouTube channel with her highlights. And just recently, I got her into Magic the Gathering, and she found a deck that she beat me with 3 times in a row.
Nice. What kind of deck is it? Is it
It's this. I think it's based on this Izzet deck, the red blue. Where she found
red blue.
she found a loop with which every time she draws a card, I have to mull my library, and I had this master plan in the 3rd game in a row after I lost the previous 2. I thought, okay, maybe I should pick my green-black deck based on Undergrowth, because then I can at least use my graveyard. But still, she managed to not only get my key cards into the graveyard, but also lots of my mana cards. So I couldn't do that. So yeah, that's Cassie Games. Also, I want to like a little clap for her. She's an essential worker. She works for the NHS.
Oh wow! Big shout out for that then.
Yeah, she's very awesome, and she's very stressed. And quite happy that I introduced her to Magic. For those who are interested, check her out on YouTube and Twitch. Yeah.
Green, what about you?
I don't necessarily have any shout outs for the secondary one. This week has been ups and downs, and how about this? By the time this comes out, this is going to be old news, but Hamilton is now available on Disney Plus for you to watch. If you have never seen Hamilton or even know what Hamilton is, you must have had a strange childhood. So,
yeah,
you should look it up.
It has been trending on Twitter for over 24 hours now.
Yeah, it's okay. It's like Hamilton is very much so
the fact that it's available.
Right. I meant the whole thing about not knowing what it is. It is very much so an Americanized thing, because it is kind of a little bit of our history turned up with a different twist on it. But as far as it being a very important release currently, the entire musical is done by people of color, which was also written by a person of color. Also very big right now.
I know who you can shout out.
Who can I shout out?
You can shout out Savatun for topping the charts in Spotify with her earworm.
I mean, I don't want to shout out myself. Why would I do that?
Oh my god, it just dawned on me. Earworm. Hi, Savatun worm. Of course, earworms. It makes sense.
Right?
Okay.
It's also very, very quaint that the editing and the release of the video was done with the assistance of Blue and Orchid, but I released it, I edited it, I may have
you are
charged it with
you are the producer, you are the ones who are gonna let those two crunch and like chew them out of the music industry again, and then enjoy the earworm and the tribute you get from the earworms.
I will make Blue a star.
Wink, wink.
Shout out to apparently my new music producer.
Yeah.
Oh man, but no, yeah, just a big shout out to everyone. You know, I know the week has been an interesting one for sure. But we appreciate you guys sticking through, and for those in the live chat, we appreciate you guys staying with us and keeping the chat rolling. It's been really fun reading some of the stuff going on between the episodes. But that being said, I want to thank you for your time, and remember, until next time, with wisdom we conquer. Stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusedFireChat. Links to all our episode archives can be found at www.thelorenetwork.com. Please be sure to email us at focusedfirechat@gmail.com with any comments and or questions for the team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.